Joined now by CyberSponse CEO Joe Loomis. So, Joe, what happened here?
Well, what we have here is that the retailer that actually use a specific vendor, it's a shared platform. So the same vendor provides the same online cloud-based online photo service to all these different retailers. And what we see here is that there's a common link between all the different retailers and this potential access to this one vendor that then essentially has provided access to all the other retailers.
So who's behind it?
Well, it's hard to say. It could be a link between one of the retailers that owns this specific company actually suffered a breach earlier in the year. So there could be a link between having access to that retailer, got them access to the vendor. This is what's called as going horizontal in a network. So when the hackers get in, they can get into almost anything else once they're within the perimeter or within the firewall. And so now you're starting to see some of the aftershocks, just like a natural occurrence, where there's pop-ups, there's hot spots where it might happen, where they might even sit dormant on some data for a certain amount of time before they decide to surface up certain access.
So as a consumer, then, do you just stop uploading, or what do you do to protect yourself? Because it seems like the main way of photo sharing these days is sharing or printing through these sites like Costco.
That's exactly what these retailers need to start doing, is reassuring what are they doing in order to bring that security. I work in the security industry, as we all know, and I often run into a lot of hurdles where vendors in security are having a lot of hard time penetrating these retailers. I think it's time for the consumers and the customers of retailers to start demanding a certain level of security for their privacy protection.
But Joe, demanding one thing is a lot easier than actually carrying it out. We know that in the C-suites of these top boardrooms of these big companies, cybersecurity is very much at the top of their list. So does the consumer then take their business elsewhere? Because it seems like anywhere is vulnerable, as we've learned from everything from Target to JP Morgan to Ashley Madison.
Absolutely right. And that's the difficult thing, the trade-off, is I believe that there needs to be an education that these retailers go under to understand that, yes, we understand the boards are talking about security, but are they really willing to spend the dollars and listen to the vendors? There's still internal politics and bureaucracy that takes place that might not be aware to the consumer, that it's often difficult for vendors to get into these organizations, even if the board level is saying we need to fix security. So many underlying political issues that you have to overcome and hurdles. The last problem that we incur as a vendor to the market is the long procurement cycle. You could decide today you want to buy a product from a vendor, and it might take that retailer 6 months to actually implement the solution. So it's 6 months of potentially being vulnerable.
All right, Joe Loomis, CyberSponse CEO, thanks so much for weighing in on the topic.
Thank you.
As Greece struggles to pay its debts, celebrities now are